All right, everyone, welcome to my Sunday stock watch. Thank you for being here today. But anyways, let's get right into it for the week of August 17th. So Monday, not a whole lot going on our economic calendar. Tuesday, also not a whole lot going on. Wednesday, we do have minutes of the July FOMC meeting, so that'll be important to watch for. Thursday, initial jobless claims, PMI, and leading economic indicators, and then Friday, none scheduled. So not a huge week for economic data, which is nice, but let's go on to earnings. I don't think we have a whole lot of earnings this week that are going to be important to me anyways, but Monday, yeah, not a whole lot going on there. Probably will be watching for Palo Alto. Tuesday, nothing for me on my list. Wednesday, probably maybe watch for Target. But other than that, and then Thursday, yeah, for the earnings, not a whole lot for me personally, but let's get right into it. So, overnight market just opened up. Let's take a look at what we have going on here. So, Q's is up about $1 to 578. We got SPY trading at around 644.52 right now. So, everything seems to have gotten a little bit of a bounce from Friday, but still not a huge move or anything. So yeah, let's go over Qs first. So since we're currently trading around this 578 area, which is a pretty key factor and something to note as to where we are trading currently. So obviously this next week, we don't have a very large range. You know, we will either continue up above here, continue into 580, and then tap into those all-time highs again. We could see the same scenario we've been seeing for about a month now of reaching up, breaking all-time highs once again, and creating a new all-time high. That is the first case in scenario since we don't have a whole lot of news going on. We might be a little bit more bullish heading into tomorrow. But I also do want to watch for a potential break of 575 area to see some downside maybe into that 572 to 570 range on QQQ. Again, this next week, I'm already not super hopeful for seeing a whole lot of price movement just because we're sitting in a pretty tight range. But we also have, Trump and, potentially creating a peace treaty between Putin and Ukraine, Russia and Ukraine war. So that is something to keep in mind, obviously, but we'll take it how it is. SPY's up about $1 to 644 currently. Same sort of scenario as Q's. We will either continue to push up here and then tap back into those all-time highs at that 646, 647 area, and then even continue up higher, or we will break below this tight range and get a nice continuation back into 638 to that 635 range. So again, pretty tight range across the board. Next name is Tesla. So what is Tesla currently trading at? 332.45. Tesla, actually a pretty interesting one. So I would like to see us, potentially get a tap back into that 325 to 328 range and then get a nice jump higher on Tesla. But last week's price action wasn't my favorite. So it really just depends on what happens tomorrow, where we see Tesla going, or we could also break below that area if Tesla's not looking super strong and get a continuation down into 310, 315 range. So either or, but that's sort of the setup I'm looking at for Tesla. My main level is at that 328. Next name, we'll take a look at NVDA. NVIDIA's been a little bit choppy. We do have earnings on it not next week, so not this coming week, but the week after. As you can see, we've been in a super tight range from around that 179 to 184 area, or 180 to 184. Super tight range on NVIDIA. Let's see what we're currently trading at. If I can find NVIDIA. Yeah, we're just trading at 180.98, so about $1 move from Friday's close. Nothing too crazy. I'm not even going to be expecting much. I think we will continue to sit within this range, depending on the overall market and how the market moves. But I don't believe, if we do get some bullishness, I don't believe we'll make it too far past up above these all-time high area. this all-time high area. But yeah, I would be definitely looking for a drop below 179 because that way we could definitely see a continuation down to 176 to 175 on NVIDIA area. So next name is going to be Coin. As you guys know, I can't get away from those crypto names. So Coin currently trading at 318.99. Not much of a price difference from Friday. I would like to see, potentially taking a look at Bitcoin. I would like to see Bitcoin be a little bit more bullish going into tomorrow, head back up to 119 if possible, or 119,500, or sorry, 118,500. I would love to see that. I would love to see Coinbase be a little bit more bullish heading into tomorrow as well. Maybe get a tap back into this 315 area and then a nice continuation up back to that 325 range on Coinbase. But for the rest of the week, depending on how the overall market trades, depending on what news we get with, Ukraine and Russia, we could definitely either see this go both ways with cryptocurrency. So just be watching for that, because if we do see, Bitcoin make a nice continuation down, I will be expecting Coinbase to break 315 and then even get a tap back into 300 and even lower than that. So just be aware of that. Okay, next we'll take a quick look at Meta. So Meta's been a quite interesting one. It's also been in a pretty choppy range, currently sitting at 787.67. This could go both ways as well, but again, in my opinion, we're a little bit capped on, how high we could really continue up. So from right here, we're currently, our all-time high on Meta is close to 800. I would love to see a continuation, but again, with all-time highs being very close, that does make me, push away a little bit. But if we could see some downside into lower 780, even to 78 area, I would love that to see that set up on Meta to then go long and, reach back for all-time highs. But we could also potentially see a break of that, 775 range and get a nice continuation to the downside. So Meta's a pretty good watch since we've been in this nice little tight range. Could pop soon. But yeah, next name, let's go to MSTR. So MSTR has been getting a lot of downside recently. Currently, what are we trading at? 367. So 6-7. Oops. That was a joke. Not ideal. We haven't seen down to this area in quite a bit. So if Bitcoin gets some more downside, I'm definitely going to be looking to target below 360 on MSTR to get, some really nice downside. I would, say about a $10, $20 move to the downside from there. Or if we see Bitcoin continue up, like my first scenario, would love to see a bounce from this area. Would love to see us tap, and break back above 370 and just continue higher on MSTR. So again, just got to take it day by day. Circle, next name. I love Circle, as you guys all know as well. I've been trading it quite a while. So Circle's currently sitting at 149 area. I would love to see us back above 150 for that first case of Bitcoin being bullish, heading into tomorrow. Would love to see it trade back above 150 and then, just continue higher into that 160 range, even into 165 this week. If then afterwards we see some downside on Bitcoin, I definitely think we could, after we tap back into even 170 on Circle, we could get some really nice downside once again, back, all the way back into 140, even lower than that. So that's kind of what I'm mainly watching for. Again, a lot of crypto names for me. Next name is Palantir. This one's pretty interesting. I've seen a lot of people talking about it recently, but currently sitting at 178.44. For me, in my opinion, I don't think Palantir is super strong right now, but I would love to see it trade back into 182 range and get a rejection off of there to then have conviction to take puts on Palantir. If we do break above there, not really going to be looking at it. If we do just, kind of get a hard fall on it, continuation downwards, also not really going to be looking at it. So that one setup for me is just to see it trade back into 180, reject that 180 price range, and get a nice continuation down. But for right now, that is all I'm currently watching going into this next week. Again, not a super exciting week as far as news goes, but stay very cautious. Trading at all-time highs for this past month or so is not easy. So remember, wait for confirmation. Do not over risk. Do not just jump into trades. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. If you guys are enjoying these Sunday stock watches, make sure to check out all the rest of my videos on my YouTube channel where I teach you guys exactly how I trade and I teach you guys the ins and outs of day trading. So make sure to subscribe right here.